My dear brothers and sisters in the risen Lord, fifth Sunday of the year. The only people who never fail are those who never try, said by Eka Chase. There was a king who owned a large, perfectly cut diamond. He was very proud of it and made it the national symbol. Unfortunately, the diamond one day got damaged and its beauty was marred by a long hair-like scratch. Its splendor was gone and its sparkle diminished. The king was very saddened. He had all the reputed jewelers for consultation. They all said that it had lost its splendor and value. In desperation, the king sent out word throughout his kingdom. Anyone who could repair the damaged diamond would be suitably rewarded. Finally, just when the king was about to give up the hope of restoring the stone, a poor lapidary, a gem engraver, came forward to restore it. So he said to the king, "This same scratch which has diminished that diamond's worth will become his most beautiful asset." The king entrusted the man with the stone, and many weeks passed before his return. Finally, when the lapidary opened his velvet box to display his craftsmanship, the king gasped in amazement. There was the stone more beautiful than ever, with a beautiful rose carved on it. Only the king could detect that the rose's graceful stem was the same scratch that had once so ruined the diamond. Like the scratched diamond, the scratches in our lives could have become beautiful opportunities for God to turn a negative into a positive or minus into plus. Jesus is the master jeweler who can transform scratches which dim and distort our lives into something that could shine and scintillate. In today's gospel, Jesus transformed failure into a booming success in the professional lives of the disciples. These disciples worked the whole night on the sea but caught nothing. But when Jesus entered on the sea, they had a bumper catch. In the experience of the disciples, from failure to success, there are three phases. 1. The disciples experienced failure. In today's gospel, we heard that the disciples of Jesus had worked the whole night trying to catch a fish, but they were fruitless. They were professional fishermen and they knew their trade well, yet they failed. Even after genuine first failure is bound to happen in our lives. Failure is a part of human growth. There is none who has achieved everything substantial in life without experiencing failure at least once. Even Napoleon, the great French emperor, had lost 2/3 of the battles he fought. One should accept failure in life, but never as final. We fail completely only when we fail to try again. We should never allow failure to defeat us. Most successes are built on a multitude of failures. Someone said, many of their life's failure are men who did not realize how close they were to success when they give up. The next time you fail, do not get disheartened, rise and try again. Mary Pickford said, if you have made mistake, even serious mistake, there is always another chance for you. And supposing you have tried and failed again and again, you may have a fresh start any moment you choose. For this thing that we call failure is not the falling down, but is staying down. 2. The disciples experienced delay in the divine help. Jesus did not have the frustrated disciples immediately after fruitlessly working the whole night. They had moved their boats and were washing their nets. Then Jesus got into one of the boats and began to teach the people. We do not know how long he taught them, but only after finishing his teaching did Jesus address Peter and his associate perform. From Jesus' attitude, we need to learn 2 lessons. 1. Listening to God's word must precede any petition for God's blessing. The people, along with the disciples, had to hear his teaching before they had to witness a miracle. 2. God's work at his own pace. Jesus does not address Peter's problem immediately. The disciples had entered from the sea and they had already tried their boats and were washing their nets. Then Jesus borrowed their boat and spent some time on teaching the people. Only later did he address Peter's problem. We cannot expect or force God to work at our pace. In his time, at his convenience, he will succor us. 3rd, the disciples obeyed Jesus' command. After Jesus had finished preaching, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let your nets for a catch." Peter made a professional objection. "Master, we have worked all night long, but here have caught nothing." Peter, as a professional fisherman, knew more than Jesus. The confident that it was useless to go for fishing in the morning if he had not caught anything all night. There was very little chance of getting any fish when the sun's rays were glinting on the surface of the water. Peter does not go by professional experiences. Instead, he listens to Jesus and obeys him. He said to Jesus, "Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the nets." Neither the weariness of the whole night's toiling, nor the frustration of last night's failure stopped Peter from lowering the nets. That morning, obeying Jesus' command made the difference between failure and success in Peter and in associates' life. As the disciples were lowering the nets down, one thought was ringing in their minds: "At thy word, we will let the nets down." Even when things look dismal in life and all our efforts seem to land up in failure, hearing Jesus' words would tilt the balance in our favor. The disciples worked hard, but they failed. When they obeyed Jesus' words, they succeeded beyond expectation. Jesus is a master lapidary who will convert the scratches and failure in our lives into scintillating success. Robert A. Sculler wrote, "When hope expands to faith, attitude grows to aptitude. Once we rely on Jesus, He gives us the power to come back. He supplies us with the tools to prove solutions. The impossible becomes impossible. The cons become cans. When we work, we need to keep our hearts close to the Lord and listen to His voice calling us. Wearied and not wearied, beaten or not beaten before, and do as He bids us. Put out into the deep water, and we shall not toil in vain." May God bless you all.